We're going to start out with the background, and for that we'll need the paper. We'll need a large brush, water, and watercolors. The first thing that you need to do is activate the colors. That means put a little bit of water in the colors that you choose to use. Then we'll go on top of our paper with just water. There's no puddles, it's just damp. Now that our paper is completely wet, we're going to go into one of our colors and add it throughout our entire background. I'm going to use some yellow, and I'm going to use some green. Having the paper wet is going to allow this watercolor to blend together as we're working. Now that my watercolors are dry, it's time to add the donuts. We're going to use a floating noodle to make our donuts. You are also going to need some paint. Acrylic or tempera is fine. Take your floating noodle and press it into the paint. You actually don't need a lot. Then find a place on your piece of paper where you press straight down and back up again. I'm going to go back in here, grab a little bit more paint, go straight down and back up. I'll do this until my entire page is filled with, I don't know, like seven different donuts. Here's what's really going to make this composition interesting. Take some of these and go off the side. Just like that. See how my donut fell off the side? What did I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do my 7th one right here. Okay, once again, we're going to have to let this dry. All right, everything's dry. The donuts are, the background is, and we are ready to add the frosting and the shadows. The first thing I need to do is just decide which is going to be the top. I can have my picture vertically or horizontally. I think I'm going to go with this direction right here. And we're going to start with some frosting. Now I have the primary colors over here. I have some white and some brown. These are the colors I'm going to use for this. Let's start out with a nice, yummy blue frosting. Now you could use the straight up blue, but what's really fun with this lesson is that you can mix your colors as well. So I'm going to add a little bit of white. That looks tasty, doesn't it? And we're going to add the frosting on this one right here. We're going to add a rainbow curve on the very top of that donut. And it's a rainbow, so it's only going halfway on the donut. And I'll gather some more paint. And now I'm going to make a curve going up like a smiley face, but this time it's going to be on the upper half of this part of the donut as well. So I went on the top here, and now I'm going on the top here. Now as you can see, I'm not staying 100% on my donut. If that happens, that's alright. We don't have to worry about that. Now this is going to make it look like it's actually sitting on top of your donut. And we can see the sides of our donut a little bit. We're going to let this 100% dry before I add any extra details on it. Make sure that you dry out your brush really, really well. Get all that water out. If we don't do that, you can actually end up with some kind of mucky colors. Now, you're going to do this to all of your donuts first. Add the frosting. And your frosting can be many different colors. But I'm going to show you right now how to add the shadow. So I'm going to add a little bit of that blue again with a little bit of brown. This is going to give us a nice dark color. That's going to be the shadow for our donuts. Now we're going to go on the very opposite where we added the frosting. So I'm going to add that rainbow curve right down below here and the rainbow curve right down below here. Oh, not a rainbow curve, kind of a smiley face, going the opposite direction of the rainbow. Now adding that shadow actually makes these donuts almost pop right off the page. Okay, we're pretending that I did all of the donuts frosting and I did all of the shadows on every single one of them. Now I can add any extra details that I want to the top of my frosting. It really works best if you have a nice dry donut before you add your final details. So right now I'm just kind of adding some sprinkles. Before I go into another color, I'm going to want to make sure that my brush is 100% clean and dry. And I'm adding tiny little sprinkles all over the top of my donut. Okay, let me show you a couple of other ways that you might add some extra designs to the top of your donuts. If you have a half donut, like I do here, you're still going to address it the same as your other donuts. So the top portion and the lower portion the same way. So I just went on the top here until I reached the edge and went on the bottom here. You can see I did the same thing here. I couldn't go all the way on the bottom because I didn't have the rest of that donut. But that is how you would address some of these donuts that are falling off from our page. I showed you how I made those sprinkles, and now I want to show you how I did this glaze that kind of goes on top, these kind of stripes. I'll use brown, so I'll put some chocolate on the top over here, and maybe I'll go in a different direction. But I just go right on top of the frosting with some lines. And that looks like it was kind of drizzled on top. You don't have to worry about being perfect with this because the frosting never is in nice straight lines, so it can be a little uneven. You can decorate the rest of your donuts to complete this project, but otherwise you have a very yummy looking painting by the end of this.